go. So, here today with Shelly Alan, who's just come back over from Australia, and for a summer sabbatical, talking to you today about enterprise and setting up your own business. So, Shelly, when did you realise that you were probably quite entrepreneurial? Was it in school, was it in sixth form, or was it at uni?
I think it was really at uni, but I've always been very independent and always knew that I would love to one day be able to do my own thing.
Wow. What was your first business idea then, and when was it?
So the first business idea actually came about when I was studying a master's in marketing, and we had a team project. So as part of that, we created a product called Visps. So they were oven baked vegetable crisps. And this was a while ago, actually, before you really started to see those kind of things on the shelves in supermarkets. So that was, I guess, the first idea.
Wow. What was your best idea?
My best idea was actually probably the business that I had before moving to Australia. So I was always really into horse riding and into show jumping. And then I went on and became a qualified coach. I started coaching a girl that I knew that had her own pony. And then that actually just really snowballed by word of mouth. And before I left for Australia, I had about 50 clients, which I coached on a weekly and bi-weekly basis. And from that business, I built that up into doing summer camps, pony camps. We held competitions at our yard, lots of things like that. So I think that was probably the most successful so far.
Wow. And you walked away from that. You just walked away to go to Australia.
Yes, it was a really, really hard decision and a really tough one to make at the time. But I just knew that if I didn't go and I didn't give myself that opportunity, that I wouldn't want to one day regret that. So I forced myself to go to Australia for 6 months. And I knew that if I didn't like it after 6 months, I could always come back.
Yeah. Wow. Very brave. Have you got any other ideas that you're currently excited or working on?
So at the moment, I have got a swimwear brand called Elodie Swim. So that actually launched last November, and I was working on that for about 2 years before that launched.
Wow. So, sounds like you're potentially what they call a serial entrepreneur. Where do these ideas come from?
Well, with the swimwear, I was actually working a job and I'd been there for about 4 years at the time. And it was a great company, great job, but I'd been pretty much doing the same thing since the start. Wasn't really that much opportunity for progression, and I just wanted a new challenge. Knew I wanted to work for myself, but didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was kind of tossing up between swimwear and activewear. At the time, I was living in swimwear, being in the Gold Coast in Australia, so it seemed like quite a natural thing to do. But I was actually advised to just go down one path and try and nail that first. And I'm really glad that I did, because the swimwear was just its own beast. And having no background in fashion or anything like that, it was a really, really steep learning curve.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's quite ruthless, isn't it? Where do you think this entrepreneurial spirit, this hunger to create and be creative come from?
I think we have quite a few entrepreneurs and creatives in my family. So on my dad's side of the family, we have Ballymaloe. So for anyone that's not heard of that, that is a famous cookery school in Ireland. So we've got a few chefs in the family. As well as that, my dad has always been going down lots of different paths and sticking his hand in many different pies. So originally he was a farmer, then he invested in the stock market, owned rental houses, And most recently, he's actually started a Christmas tree growing business. So he started that about 8 years ago, and that's gone from strength to strength. So essentially, it's a whole Christmas experience where people come along, they can take a sleigh ride out to the field, choose their own perfect Christmas tree, cut it down, and take it home. So he's done lots of different things like that and has always really encouraged us to also do our own thing. And I think he's a great example of that. And then on my mum's side, my granddad, Bill, he did used to own a shirt company, which was really, really successful as well. So I definitely think it's in the genes.
Yeah, no, it's very much so. So, given a choice, having had a taste of working for other people and being your own boss, what do you think you prefer?
I think there's pros and cons to each, to be honest, but ultimately, one day I would love to work for myself. I just think that you can't put a price on freedom and flexibility. So, given the choice, that's definitely the path that I would go down.
Wow, yeah, I can see you're going to do well. So, going back to school, did school support the development of your entrepreneurial spirit, or have you sort of learned by doing, making the mistakes, and then realizing what does work and doesn't work?
To be honest, I did study business in school, but I don't think I really had that spark until I went to uni and I studied marketing, which I absolutely loved. Prior to that, I studied food science, which was where we had done that project. But I really think that it was once I left and started working, that's when I really realized, okay, I actually really would like to do something for myself. It's definitely been a steep learning curve, but I had been thinking about the idea of the swimwear brand for quite a while. And, you know, in the end, there's no perfect time to start. Nothing's ever going to completely line up. So I just had to really just dive in one day, set a list of tasks for everything that I had to do, and then just slowly start taking them off. And the scariest part is actually saying that you're going to start. Once you've started and you put your head down, you'll really be surprised by what you can do, especially with the internet and Google. There's so much information out there that is freely available to you. There's so many people giving free advice, so many people you can ask along the way. So honestly, my best advice would just be to get started, like enjoy the journey. You'll have so much fun along the way and you'll learn so much that even if maybe your first idea is not successful, you will have learned so much that you can bring forward with you to your next adventure.
Wow, that's a lot of advice and a lot of experience. Now, I think your grandfather's business was called Richard Jones, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Okay.
It's just come through my little researcher there. And we're sitting in his house, aren't we?
Yes.
His second oldest house in the village where he lived. He's not here anymore, but I think he'd be very proud of your desire to get on. So my last question, having taught young people in schools for 20 years, my experience is that those non-academic people who find school hard, those people that we classify in this country as disadvantaged, i.e. maybe just one income or some financial impairment that doesn't provide them equity, equality, and especially I would say those young people with special educational needs, to me, are quite inspirational in terms of their creativity and what they come up with. And that's from me just observing over many schools over many years. So if this video was watched by one of those young people, or anybody, young people in schools, what advice would you give to somebody in school today if they weren't academic, but thought that they had a bit of what you've got inside you inside them?
I would say that honestly, you don't really need to be academic. There's so much that you can figure out as you go. You just really, really need to have the drive to want to do it. To be honest, I don't wake up super motivated every day to want to sit down and learn how to register a company name. There's things about business that aren't that exciting. But honestly, it's the discipline to just put your head down day after day, get it done, and want to learn new things, which I really think is the most important. And even if you're not really an academic person, that's totally fine. You're going to have strengths in so many different places. There are people that will be there to guide you along the way and help you and support you in those areas where you don't think you're especially strong. For example, I would say I'm probably actually not the most creative person, and I had no background at all in fashion. So diving into that for me was quite scary. But I think honestly, just having the belief in yourself is the most important thing. I actually found some really great great documents and support online, and just slowly found my way there, and then eventually got chatting to a girl that had her own design studio and basically enlisted her help and went on to a retainer with her, because there's so much stuff you can find online, but in terms of fashion and fitting and suppliers, not all of that can be found online. So I actually went and got her expert help, paid a retainer fee, and then she was available to me if I had any questions with the answers that I wasn't able to find online. But I would say play to your strengths. You know, once you get started and build your business, you can hire people for the things that you don't want to do, or the things that you're not so great at. I think at the beginning, it's really important to try and, you know, be across everything, really understand how everything works. But as it grows, you can absolutely play to your strengths. But really, I think the most important thing is just your drive to get it done and your will to want to succeed.
Wow. And can I ask, how old are you now?
I am 31 now.
So at a very young age, you've had a very good taste of all this. But I think you're right. You've got to believe in yourself, believe in your ideas. You've obviously got quite a lot of can-do attitude. And I do think you're quite creative and innovative. And I just like to say, I think that advice to surround yourself with people that are good at what you're not good at is quite special advice, because a lot of people just don't want to share, do they? They want to keep it all and do it all themselves. Yeah. But if you can actually identify what you're not good at, they say, don't you, if you're not very good at numbers, marry an accountant. I don't know if that's good advice or not. So as a thank you, if somebody wanted to buy your swimwear, where's it available to them in the UK?
It is available online at elodyswim.com. So that is ELIDI swim.com.
So it's not on any other social media, it's just through the website.
I've got an Instagram page also, which is just at elodyswim.
Wow. So on behalf of all these people in the future, they're going to look at this. Can I just say thank you, good luck, and enjoy selling lots of swimwear.
Thank you so much, and wishing you all the best as well.